I should have known something was wrong when Mom called it a family meeting instead of dinner. My name is Alana, and I'm 29 years old. I design graphics for small businesses, live in a studio apartment that costs too much, and I actually like being single. That last part is apparently my biggest character flaw, according to my family. Alana, honey, sit down, Mom said, gesturing to the chair across from her like I was about to get fired. Dad sat at the head of the table, already looking uncomfortable. My older sister, Kylie, was there, too, bouncing her newest baby while her 2 other kids ran around the living room. "What's this about?" I asked, setting down my purse. I'd driven 40 minutes from the city for this. "We need to talk about your future," Mom said. "Your real future." "Here we go. Susan, maybe we should—" Dad started. "No, Patrick. Someone has to say it." Mom folded her hands. "Alana, you're almost 30. You're still playing around with this art thing, living paycheck to paycheck in that tiny apartment. Don't you think it's time to be practical?" "My art thing pays my bills," I said. "Barely," Kylie chimed in, not looking up from the baby. "And what happens when you get older? When clients stop wanting to work with someone who doesn't have stability?" I stared at her. "Stability like what? A husband who disappears for days at a time." "Eduardo is going through a rough patch," Kylie snapped. "At least I have a family. At least I'm contributing something meaningful to the world." "Girls," Dad said weakly. "That's actually why we asked you here," Mom continued. "Kylie needs help. Real help. The baby isn't sleeping, the older kids are acting out, and Eduardo's work schedule is demanding." I looked between them. "So, get a babysitter. We can't afford a full-time nanny," Kylie said, "and I don't trust strangers with my children." "But you'd trust me?" "Your family," Mom said, like that explained everything. Family helps family. The room went quiet except for the babies fussing and the sound of the other kids arguing over a toy. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" I said. "Move in with Kylie," Mom said. "Help with the kids, the house. You'd still have time to do your little design projects. And Kylie would pay you, of course." "How much?" Kylie and Mom exchanged a look. "We'd work something out," Kylie said. "Room and board, plus some spending money." "Spending money?" I laughed. "I make $4,000 a month. You want me to give that up for spending money?" "4,000? Mom's eyebrows shot up. "Alana, don't exaggerate." "I'm not exaggerating." "Honey," Dad said gently, "even if that's true, it's not sustainable. What happens when you can't find clients? At least with Kylie, you'd have security." "Security doing what? Changing diapers and doing dishes?" "Raising children," Mom said sharply. "Being part of something bigger than yourself. Your sister is building a family, creating the next generation. What are you creating? Logo designs for coffee shops." The words hit like a slap. I'd heard variations of this speech my whole life. When I graduated art school. "That's nice, dear, but what's your real plan?" When I got my first big client. "How cute! Alana's playing businesswoman." When I moved to the city. "She'll come back when she gets tired of pretending." "I need to think about it," I said. "What's to think about?" Kylie shifted the baby to her other arm. "I'm drowning here, Alana. The kids need stability. I need help, and you need to stop running away from responsibility." "I'm not running away from anything." "Aren't you?" Mom leaned forward. "You're 29, single, no real career prospects, living alone in a shoebox. When was the last time you did something for someone other than yourself? I do things for other people every day. It's called having clients. That's not the same thing, Kylie said. That's just work. I'm talking about sacrifice, about love. I looked around the table at their faces. Mom, determined and righteous. Dad, avoiding eye contact. Kylie, exhausted and desperate. If I say no? I asked. Then you say no, Mom said. But don't expect us to keep pretending your choices don't affect the rest of us. Don't expect us to keep supporting your fantasy when your sister needs real help. The baby started crying harder. One of the other kids ran into the room, tugging on Kylie's shirt. Mommy! Tyler took my truck! Not now, Mason, Kylie said, bouncing the baby frantically. I watched the chaos unfold around me and felt something cold settle in my chest. That was the moment I knew I'd been cast as the powerless aunt in my own life story. Okay, I heard myself say. I'll do it. 2 weeks later, I was living in Kylie's guest room, which doubled as her home office, craft room, and storage space for everything she couldn't fit anywhere else. Alana, can you get the baby? He's been crying for 10 minutes. Kylie called from the kitchen. I was on my laptop, trying to finish a logo design for a client who'd already extended my deadline twice. The baby's cries echoed through the thin walls. Just a second, I called back. Now please, I'm making lunch for the boys. I saved my work and went to get little James from his crib. He was red-faced and soaking wet. I changed his diaper, fed him a bottle, and got him settled just as my phone rang. Alana Holmes Design, I answered, walking back toward my room. Hi, this is Marcus from Bloom Coffee. I was wondering about the status of our logo. I'm just putting the finishing touches on it. You'll have it by end of day. Actually, we need it in 2 hours. We're launching our social media campaign this afternoon. My stomach dropped. 2 hours. Marcus, we agreed on... Alana! Kylie's voice cut through the phone call. Can you come here? I covered the phone. I'm on a work call. It's important. Marcus, can I call you back in 5 minutes? 2 hours, Alana. We really need this. I hung up and found Kylie in the kitchen, staring at the dishwasher. It's broken, she said. Water everywhere. Can you clean it up while I call the repair guy? I looked at the puddle spreading across the floor, then at my laptop in the other room, then at the clock. 1 hour and 55 minutes. Can't it wait? I have a deadline. Alana, there's water damage happening. This is my house. I grabbed the towels and got on my hands and knees. By the time I finished mopping, called the repair company, and got back to my laptop, I had 40 minutes left. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. How's it going, honey? Kylie says you're such a big help. Another buzz. Marcus. Following up on logo. Still need in 90 minutes. I worked frantically, my hands shaking as I adjusted colors and fonts. The baby started crying again. Alana? Kylie called. I'm working. He needs you. I'm dealing with Tyler's meltdown. I could hear Tyler screaming about something in the living room. I saved my work, got the baby, and tried to work one-handed while bouncing him. My laptop kept sliding off my lap. 20 minutes left. The logo looked terrible. I was rushing, making mistakes I'd never make with proper time. My phone rang. Marcus again. Hi, Marcus. Alana, I hate to do this, but we've decided to go with another designer. We needed someone more reliable. The line went dead. 3 weeks of work. Gone. Everything okay in there? Kylie appeared in the doorway. I just lost a client. Oh. She didn't look particularly concerned. Well, maybe it's for the best. You've seemed really stressed trying to juggle everything. I'm stressed because I can't work. You are working. You're helping me raise my children. That's work, too. That's not what I meant. I know what you meant. Her voice got that edge it always had when she thought I was being ungrateful. But maybe this is a sign that you should focus on what's really important right now. That night, after the kids were finally asleep, I sat in my makeshift bedroom and opened my laptop. I had 17 unread emails, 3 potential clients, 2 existing clients asking for updates, and 12 promotional emails I didn't have time to delete. I started typing a response to one of the potential clients when I heard footsteps in the hallway. Alana? Kylie knocked softly. Are you still up? Yeah. She opened the door. I wanted to talk to you about something. Eduardo thinks we should make this arrangement more permanent. What do you mean? Well, you're already here. The kids love you. And honestly, I don't know how I managed before you came. Kylie, this was supposed to be temporary. I know, but think about it. You don't have to worry about rent anymore. You have a real purpose here, and the boys need stability. What about my business? You can still do your design stuff in your free time, like a hobby. A hobby, like Mom used to say. I need to think about it. Of course. Just don't think too long, okay? The kids are getting attached. After she left, I stared at my laptop screen. The cursor blinked in the empty email field. I started typing. Hi, I'm interested in your project, but I should mention that my availability is currently limited due to family obligations. I deleted it and started again. Thank you for thinking of me for this project. Unfortunately, I'm not taking on new clients at this time. Delete. I closed the laptop and lay down on the narrow bed, listening to the house settle around me. Somewhere down the hall, the baby started crying again. I pulled the covers over my head and pretended I didn't hear it. My phone buzzed with a notification. I grabbed it, hoping for a work email, but it was a message from someone named Rosalind in a freelancer Facebook group I'd joined months ago. Hey girl, saw your post about juggling family stuff and work. Been there. Want to chat about some strategies that might help? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Yes. Please. 3 months in, Kylie announced she was going on a marriage retreat. It's just for the weekend, she said, throwing clothes into a suitcase. Eduardo and I need to reconnect. Where's Eduardo now? I asked, bouncing James while Tyler and Mason fought over cereal. He had to work late again. He'll meet me there. I'd noticed Eduardo's late nights were getting later. Sometimes he didn't come home at all. So, I'm watching all 3 kids alone for the weekend? You'll be fine. You practically run this house anyway. She zipped up her suitcase. There's frozen dinners in the freezer, and Tyler has soccer practice Saturday morning. Kylie, I had plans. What plans? You never go anywhere. She wasn't wrong. I hadn't left the house for anything non-kid related in weeks. Just plans. Well, now you have better ones. Quality time with your nephews. After she left, I sat on the couch with James while the older boys watched cartoons. My phone buzzed with messages from Rosalind. We'd been talking for weeks now, and she'd become my lifeline. Rosalind. How's the weekend going? Me. Flying solo with 3 kids. Send help. Rosalind. Oof. At least you can work tonight after they're asleep. Me. If I have any brain cells left. I scrolled through Facebook while James napped on my chest. That's when I saw it. A post from Jaden, a guy I knew from college. He was standing in front of a gallery wall covered with his paintings. Couldn't be more grateful for this solo show. His caption read, 5 years ago, I was designing menus for restaurants and wondering if I'd ever make it as a real artist. Today, I sold my first piece for 5 figures. To anyone out there still chasing their dreams, don't give up. The post had hundreds of likes and comments, people congratulating him, sharing their own stories, celebrating his success. I stared at the photo until my eyes blurred. 5 years ago, Jaden and I were in the same graphic design program. We used to stay up late in the computer lab, working on projects and talking about our big plans. He was going to be a painter. I was going to start my own design agency. Aunt Lana, I'm hungry, Tyler said, climbing onto the couch. What do you want to eat? Mac and cheese. I made lunch, cleaned up the mess, put James down for another nap, and tried to get the boys to play quietly. My laptop sat closed on the kitchen counter. I hadn't opened it in 2 days. That night, after all 3 kids were finally asleep, I sat in my room and opened a new browser window. I created an Instagram account with a name I'd been thinking about for weeks. Uncaged AF. The bio was simple. Design for women who refuse to be contained. I uploaded a simple graphic I'd made on my phone, bold black text on a white background that said, "My dreams don't have an expiration date." Within an hour, it had 50 likes. I made another one. Single doesn't mean settling. Then another. Your family's expectations are not your life sentence. Each post got more engagement than the last, comments from women saying, "I needed this today," and "This is exactly how I feel." By midnight, I had 300 followers. My phone rang. "Kylie, how are my babies?" she asked. I could hear music and laughter in the background. "They're asleep. How's the retreat?" "It's amazing. Eduardo and I are really connecting. We might extend it another day." "Another day? Kylie, I can't—" "You're so good with them, Alana. They're probably having more fun with you than they would with me anyway." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, then at my laptop screen. The Uncaged AF account was still growing. Women were sharing my posts, tagging their friends. I opened my design software and started working. Not on client projects. I barely had any left. On something for me. A t-shirt design. Simple, clean typography. I am not your backup plan. I uploaded it to a print-on-demand site and shared it on the Instagram account. Available now, I wrote, for every woman who's tired of being everyone else's safety net. By morning, I'd sold 12 shirts. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Kylie told me you're doing such a wonderful job with the boys. See? I knew you'd find your calling." I looked at the notification showing another shirt sale, then at Tyler and Mason eating cereal in their pajamas, then at James crying in his high chair. "Yeah," I texted back. "I think I'm finally figuring out who I'm supposed to be." But I wasn't talking about being their aunt. The Uncaged AF account hit 10,000 followers in 2 weeks. "I need to talk to you." I messaged Rosalind at 2 a.m. after another night of designing while the house slept. She called me immediately. "What's going on?" she asked. "I think I accidentally started a business." "The Instagram thing? I've sold 300 t-shirts this week. 300, Rosalind. I'm making more money than I ever did with graphic design clients." "That's incredible. What's the problem?" I looked around my cramped room, listening for sounds from the kids' bedrooms. "I can't let my family know. If they find out I'm making real money, they'll want to know why I'm still here." "Why are you still there?" The question hung in the air. I didn't have a good answer. "I need help," I said. "With the business stuff, Taxes, logistics, all of it. I can help you set up an LLC. We can use my address for everything. Keep it completely separate from your family situation. You do that? Alana, I've been watching you build something amazing while juggling 3 kids and a toxic family. Of course I'd help. The next morning, Kylie was in the kitchen when I came down with James. We need to talk, she said, holding up a piece of paper. My stomach dropped. It was a bank statement. This came in the mail yesterday, addressed to you. I grabbed it. It was from the print-on-demand company, a check for $800. What is this? Kylie asked. It's freelance work. What kind of freelance work pays $800? Design work, logo stuff. She stared at me. You told me you barely had any clients left. This is from an old project. They just paid late. Alana. Her voice got sharp. Are you lying to me? Why would I lie? Because if you're making this kind of money, maybe you don't need to live here anymore. The baby started fussing. I bounced him, trying to look casual. It's just one check, Kylie. It's not like I'm getting rich. She studied my face. You better not be taking advantage of this situation. Taking advantage? I'm working for free as your nanny. You're not working for free. You have room and board. Room and board isn't a salary. It's more than you'd have if you were still in that tiny apartment, struggling to pay rent. Tyler ran into the kitchen. Mom, Mason won't share the iPad. Boys, we talked about this, Kylie said, distracted. She looked back at me. We'll discuss this later. That afternoon, while the kids napped, I called Rosalind. She's suspicious, I said. I need to be more careful. Or you could just leave. It's not that simple. Why not? You're making enough money now. You could get your own place. Because... I struggled to find the words. Because they need me. Do they? Or do they just want free childcare? Before I could answer, I heard Eduardo's car in the driveway. He'd been gone for 3 days this time. I have to go, I told Rosalind. Eduardo walked in looking exhausted and angry. He barely acknowledged me as he went straight to the bedroom. I heard him and Kylie arguing in hushed voices. Where were you? Kylie's voice carried through the thin walls. Working. You know I'm working. For 3 days straight? Don't start with me, Kylie. I'm doing my best here. Your best? Your best would be coming home to your children. My best would be if I didn't have to support your sister too. I froze. They were talking about me. She helps with the kids, Kylie said. She's a grown woman living in our house for free. When is this arrangement going to end? She doesn't have anywhere else to go. That's not our problem. Their voices got quieter, but I caught fragments. Financial strain? Can't afford. Needs to figure out her own life. My phone buzzed. A notification from the Uncaged AF Instagram account. Another shirt sale. Then another. And another. I opened my laptop and checked the numbers. In the past week, I'd made more money than Eduardo probably made in a month at whatever job he was pretending to have. I opened a new browser window and started looking at apartment listings in the city. Alana. Kylie appeared in my doorway. Can you watch the boys tonight? Eduardo and I need to talk. About what? Just... things. Adult things. I looked at her tired face, her wrinkled clothes, the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes. Sure, I said. After they left, I put the boys to bed early and opened my laptop. I had 47 new orders and a message from someone wanting to license one of my designs for a major retailer. I screenshot the message and sent it to Rosalind. Holy shit! She replied immediately. This is it! Alana. This is your way out. I stared at the screen, then at the family photos on Kylie's walls, then at the baby monitor showing James sleeping peacefully. I know, I typed back. I'm just not sure I'm ready to take it. But even as I wrote the words, I was already calculating how much I'd need for a security deposit. I made the decision on a Tuesday morning when Kylie handed me a list. What's this? I asked, looking at the handwritten paper. Chores for the week. I want to make sure we're organized. I scanned the list. Grocery shopping, laundry, deep clean bathrooms, organize kids' closets, meal prep for the week, vacuum all rooms, dust furniture. This is everything, I said. Well, yes, you live here too. Kylie, I already watch the kids 12 hours a day. And I appreciate that, but we're a household. Everyone contributes. I looked at her standing there in her yoga pants, fresh from her morning workout class, the one I couldn't attend because someone had to watch James. What does Eduardo contribute? Her face tightened. Eduardo works. So do I. Your little online thing isn't the same as a real job. My little online thing had made $4,000 last week. I need to talk to you and Eduardo tonight, I said, after dinner. About what? About my living situation here. Something flickered across her face. Alana, if this is about the chore list, we can adjust it. It's not about the chores. That evening, I waited until the kids were in bed. Eduardo was on the couch, scrolling his phone. Kaylee was folding laundry. Can we talk? I said. Sure, Kylie said, not looking up from the tiny shirts she was folding. I'm planning to move back to the city. Eduardo's head snapped up. Kylie's hands stopped moving. What? Kylie said. I found an apartment. I can move in next month. Alana, you can't be serious, Kylie said. The kids need you. I need you. You'll figure it out. Figure it out? Her voice got shrill. James barely sleeps for anyone else. Tyler asks for you when he has nightmares. Mason won't eat vegetables unless you make them. They'll adjust. Eduardo stood up. This is perfect timing, Alana. Really perfect. Eduardo, Kylie warned. No, let me talk. He turned to me. Do you have any idea what it's like trying to support a family of 5? Do you know what our mortgage costs? What we spend on groceries every month? I'm not part of your family of 5. Exactly. You're extra. You're a grown woman who should be taking care of herself. Eduardo! Kylie snapped. What? Someone needs to say it. She's been living here rent-free for months while I work 60-hour weeks trying to keep us afloat. I looked at him. Where exactly have you been working 60-hour weeks? His face went red. What's that supposed to mean? You disappear for days at a time. You come home smelling like alcohol and cigarettes. That doesn't sound like work to me. You don't know what you're talking about. I know you haven't contributed to groceries in 3 weeks. I know Kylie's been paying the mortgage alone. I know you borrowed money from her parents last month. How do you... Kylie started. Because I live here, Kylie. I see everything. Eduardo stepped toward me. You need to mind your own business. My business is leaving. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't leave, Kylie said, tears starting. Alana, please. I'm barely holding it together as it is. Then maybe you should ask your husband to help instead of expecting me to fix your problems. They're not problems. They're children. They're family. They're your children. Your family. Your family too. No, I'm free labor. The room went silent except for the sound of James crying upstairs. "I'll get him," I said, starting toward the stairs. "Don't," Kylie said. "Just don't. If you're leaving anyway, don't pretend you care." I stopped. "I do care. That's why I stayed as long as I did." "If you cared, you wouldn't abandon us." "I'm not abandoning you. I'm choosing myself for once." Eduardo laughed bitterly. "Choosing yourself. That's rich. You've never had to choose anything difficult in your life." "You're right," I said. "I've never had to choose between my family and my gambling debts." His face went white. "Alana," Kylie whispered. "I'm done," I said. "I'm moving out in 2 weeks." I went upstairs, got James and brought him back down. I handed him to Kylie. "Here's your son. Take care of him yourself." I went to my room and closed the door. My phone was buzzing with notifications from the Uncaged AF account. I ignored them and opened my laptop. I started typing. I lived with my sister's family for 8 months. I was their free nanny, housekeeper, and emotional support system. Today, I told them I'm leaving. They called me selfish. They said I was abandoning them. They said family comes first. But here's what they didn't say: that I matter too. That my dreams matter. That I deserve a life of my own. So I'm taking one. I posted it anonymously on the Uncaged AF account. Within an hour, it had 1,000 likes. Within 6 hours, it had 10,000. By morning, my phone was ringing. A producer from a major podcast wanted to interview me. "We'd love to have you tell your story," she said. "We think it would resonate with a lot of our listeners." I looked around my cramped room, listened to the chaos starting in the kitchen downstairs, and smiled. "Yes," I said, "I'd love to tell my story." 6 months later, I was sitting in my new downtown condo when the doorbell rang. "Alana Holmes?" the delivery guy asked. "That's me." He handed me a box. Inside were 50 copies of Entrepreneur magazine with my face on the cover. The headline read, "The Accidental Empire: How One Woman's Family Drama Became a $1 million Brand." My phone rang. Rosalind. "Did you see the magazine?" she asked. "Just got my copies." "We're officially booked solid through next year. The speaking requests alone are insane. Uncaged AF had exploded after the podcast interview. We'd hired 2 full-time employees, launched a clothing line, and I was speaking at women's conferences across the country. The anonymous post about leaving my sister's house had been shared over 1 million times. "There's something else," Rosalind said. "I got a weird call today. Someone asking for your home address." "A client?" "No. She said she was your mother." My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to my family since I moved out. They'd sent a few guilt trip texts the first month, then nothing. "I didn't give her anything," Rosalind continued, "but she seemed pretty desperate." 20 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Mom and Dad standing in the hallway. I opened the door. "Hi, Mom. Alana." She looked around my condo, taking in the modern furniture, the city view, the framed magazine covers on the wall. "This is nice. How did you find me?" "We hired a private investigator," Dad said quietly. "You hired a what?" "We needed to talk to you," Mom said. "It's important." I let them in. They sat awkwardly on my white couch, looking out of place. "We saw the magazine article," Mom said. "Congratulations," Dad added. "We had no idea you were doing so well. You never asked." Mom's face tightened. "We tried to call. You changed your number. I needed space." "Space." Mom repeated the word like it tasted bitter. "While your family was falling apart." "What's wrong?" Dad cleared his throat. Eduardo was arrested last month. I sat down across from them. For what? Fraud. Embezzlement. He'd been stealing from his company for 2 years. Mom's voice cracked. He lost everything, Alana. Their house, their savings. Kylie and the kids are living with us now. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Mom's eyes flashed. Because you seem pretty comfortable here while your nephews are sleeping on air mattresses in our basement. That's not my fault, isn't it? She leaned forward. You knew something was wrong with Eduardo. You said so yourself. But instead of helping your sister, you ran away to play businesswoman. I didn't run away. I built a life. You built a life on our family's pain, Mom said. That post you wrote, that interview you gave, you made us sound like monsters. I never mentioned names. Everyone in town knows it was about us. Kylie lost her job at the church. People cross the street when they see us coming. Dad put his hand on Mom's arm. Susan, that's not why we're here. Then, why are you here? We need your help, Dad said. The medical bills from my heart attack last month, plus supporting Kylie and the kids. We're drowning. You had a heart attack? 2 weeks ago. Triple bypass. He looked exhausted. The insurance doesn't cover everything. I stared at him. My father, who'd always seemed invincible, looked frail and grey. How much do you need? 50,000, Mom said quickly. Just to get back on our feet. $50,000. You're making millions now, aren't you? That's what the magazine said. The business is making money. That doesn't mean I have $50,000 lying around. But you could get it, Mom pressed. You could help us. Like you helped me? We gave you a home when you needed one. You gave me a prison sentence and called it family duty. Mom stood up. How can you be so selfish? These are your nephews we're talking about. Your father almost died. And I'm sorry about that. I really am. But I'm not responsible for fixing everyone's problems. Yes, you are. Mom's voice broke. You're family. You don't leave family behind. You left me behind the moment you decided my dreams didn't matter. Your dreams? She laughed bitterly. Look around, Alana. You got your dreams. You got everything you wanted. And what did we get? Public humiliation and financial ruin. You got exactly what you deserved. The words hung in the air like a slap. Dad stood up slowly. We should go, Susan. No. Mom turned back to me. You owe us, Alana. After everything we did for you, everything we sacrificed. What did you sacrifice? What did any of you ever sacrifice for me? She opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought, I said. After they left, I sat alone in my beautiful condo and stared at the city lights. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It's Titus, your cousin. Can we talk? There are things you need to know about what's been happening with the family, things they're not telling you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. Call me. Titus called me an hour later. Alana, thank God you answered. What's going on, Titus? I've been watching this whole thing unfold, and I can't stay quiet anymore. Your parents didn't tell you everything. About Dad's heart attack? About why they really came to see you? His voice was tight with anger. Alana, they're not just asking for help. They're planning to sue you. Sue me? For what? Defamation. They hired a lawyer last week. They think they can prove your posts and interviews damaged their reputation and cost them money. I sat down, hard. That's insane. It gets worse. Your mom has been telling everyone that you stole money from Kylie while you were living there. She's saying that's how you started your business. That's a complete lie. I know that, but she's got half the family convinced. She showed them bank statements, said the timing was suspicious. What bank statements? The checks you were getting while you lived with Kylie. She's claiming you were running your business using their resources and lying about it. My hands started shaking. Titus, I saved every email, every text, every conversation. I have proof of everything. Then you need to use it, because they're not just coming for your money, Alana. They're trying to destroy your reputation. Why are you telling me this? Because I've watched them do this to people my whole life. Remember when Uncle Mark tried to start his restaurant? Your mom convinced everyone he was being selfish and abandoning family. He ended up giving up and working for your dad's company for 20 years. I did remember. Uncle Mark had been miserable. She's done it to me too, Titus continued. Every time I try to move out, every time I date someone she doesn't approve of, it's always about family loyalty and responsibility. So, what do I do? You fight back, and I'm going to help you. How? I've been documenting everything. Screenshots of the family group chat, recordings of conversations. Your mom doesn't know I've been keeping track. Titus, you could get in serious trouble. I'm already in trouble. I'm 26 years old and I'm still living in my childhood bedroom because every time I try to leave, they guilt me into staying. I'm done. What do you need from me? Send me everything. Every text, every email, every piece of evidence you have. I'm going to compile it all and send it to the family group chat. The whole family? Everyone. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends, everyone who's been hearing their version of the story. My phone buzzed with another call. Mom. It's my mother, I told Titus. Don't answer. Let me handle this first. I declined the call. She called back immediately. Alana, answer the phone, Titus said. But put it on speaker. I want to hear what she says. I answered. Hi, Mom. Alana, we need to talk again. I think there was a misunderstanding earlier. What kind of misunderstanding? About the money. We're not asking for charity. We're asking for what's rightfully ours. I don't understand. The business you built, the money you're making, it started while you were living with Kylie. You used our family situation, our struggles, to create your brand. Legally, we might be entitled to a portion of your profits. Titus was furiously typing on his phone. Mom, that's not how businesses work. Isn't it? You lived rent-free. You used our story. You built your following by talking about us. Without our family, you'd have nothing. Without your family, I'd have had my freedom a lot sooner. Don't be smart with me, Alana. We've consulted with a lawyer. We have options. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you. You can do this the easy way or the hard way. What's the easy way? $50,000 now, and 20% of your business going forward. I looked at Titus, who was shaking his head and holding up his phone. He'd been recording. And the hard way. We take you to court. We tell everyone the truth about how you really built your empire, on the backs of people who loved you. The people who loved me wouldn't have treated me like unpaid help. We gave you a home. You gave me a prison sentence and called it family. You're going to regret this, Alana. You're going to regret choosing strangers over your own blood. She hung up. Titus looked at me. Did you hear that? She just admitted they're trying to extort you. What do we do now? Now we show everyone who they really are. He held up his phone. I've got 2 years' worth of screenshots ready to go. Text messages where your mom calls you pathetic and a burden. Voice messages where Kylie says you'll never amount to anything. Everything. Titus, if you do this, there's no going back. Good. I don't want to go back. He started typing on his phone. I'm sending everything to the family group chat right now. Wait. It's done. My phone immediately started buzzing with notifications. The family group chat was exploding. Holy shit, Titus said, watching his phone. Aunt Linda just said she always suspected something was wrong. Uncle Mark is asking why no one told him about the lawsuit. My phone rang. Kylie. Don't answer, Titus said. Let them panic for a while. This is really happening. This is really happening. And Alana, they deserve everything that's coming to them. The family group chat screenshots went viral within hours. Alana, you need to see this. Rosalind called me at 6 a.m. Someone leaked your family's messages on Twitter. It's trending. I grabbed my laptop. Uncaged family was the #1 trending topic. Thousands of people were sharing screenshots of my mother calling me ungrateful and a financial burden, Kylie saying I'd never be anything without family, and Eduardo calling me dead weight. But the worst one was from my mother to Kylie. Don't worry about Alana's feelings. She's too weak to ever leave anyway. She needs us more than we need her. That message had been retweeted 50,000 times. My phone rang, a producer from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on the show, she said. This story is resonating with millions of women. I don't know. We've also reached out to your family for comment. Your mother declined, but your sister wanted us to tell you she's disappointed in your betrayal. She said that on national television? She said it to our producer. We didn't air it. I hung up and called Titus. Are you seeing this? I asked. I'm watching the news right now. They're calling it the family that tried to sue success. Titus, I'm scared. This is bigger than I wanted it to be. Good. They tried to destroy you quietly. Now everyone gets to see who they really are. My doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw a woman with a camera crew. Ms. Holmes? I'm Jennifer Martinez from Channel 7 News. We'd love to get your response to your family's allegations. I opened the door. What allegations? Your mother held a press conference this morning. She's claiming you manipulated and exploited your family's private struggles for profit. She held a press conference? She also announced that your sister Kylie will be writing a tell-all book about the sister who chose fame over family. I stared at the camera. Can I make a statement? Of course. I looked directly into the lens. My name is Alana Holmes. For 8 months, I lived with my sister's family as their unpaid nanny and housekeeper. I was told it was temporary. I was told I'd be compensated. Instead, I was treated like hired help and made to feel guilty for having dreams of my own. The reporter nodded encouragingly. When I finally left and built a successful business, my family demanded money. When I refused, they threatened to sue me for defamation. They hired a private investigator to find my home address. They showed up uninvited and demanded $50,000 plus 20% of my business. What's your response to their claim that you exploited them? My response is this. I never used their real names. I never shared identifying details. I told my story, my experience, and apparently that was enough for people to recognize the behavior. That should tell you everything you need to know. The interview aired that night. By morning, I had 200,000 new followers on Instagram and my phone was ringing non-stop. Alana? It was Jaden, my old college friend. Jaden, how did you get this number? Rosalind gave it to me. I've been following your story. I wanted to reach out. It's been insane. I can imagine. Listen, I'm working on a project, a documentary about family trauma and breaking cycles. Would you be interested in collaborating? Not as a subject, but as a creative partner. Really? Your story isn't just about family drama. It's about redefining success and refusing to be diminished. I think we could create something powerful together. I looked around my condo, at the magazine covers on the wall, at the city view that reminded me daily that I'd made it out. I'd love that. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. Alana, this is Kylie. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. Mom wrote that press conference statement. She made me say those things to the reporter. I never wanted to write a book. I never wanted any of this. Eduardo left last week. He took what little money I had left and disappeared. The kids keep asking where Aunt Alana is. I don't know what to tell them. I'm sorry. For everything. I understand if you can't forgive me, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I showed it to Rosalind, who was sitting across from me in my office. What are you going to do? She asked. Nothing, I said. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. You're not going to respond? She made her choice when she let them use her to hurt me. The kids will be fine. They'll learn that adults have consequences for their actions. I deleted the message and opened my laptop. What are you working on? Rosalind asked. A new post. I started typing. It's about the difference between forgiveness and enabling, about how sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices. I posted it with a photo of Kylie's text message, with her name blacked out. The caption read, "Some bridges are meant to burn, and sometimes watching them burn is the only way to light your path forward." Within an hour, it had 100,000 likes. My phone rang. Titus, I'm moving to Portland next week. He said, I got a job at a tech startup. That's amazing. I wanted to thank you. Watching you stand up to them gave me the courage to finally leave. You gave me the courage to fight back. We make a good team. I smiled, looking out at the city lights. Yeah, we do. They taught me family comes before dreams. What they didn't say is, it might be the family you choose, not the one you're born into,